Hey there, friends. I hope that you are having a fantastic day. It's Saturday, which is Saturn's Day. So, my friend Ping would say, Happy Saturn's Day, Earthlings. So, happy Saturn's Day, Earthlings. I hope everybody is having a great day. This is kind of just a hodgepodge video. Kind of a skip, mismatch kind of thing. But I thought it would be fun to just kind of show you some things that I'm working on. I wanted to show you my sensory bundle for today. This is an unopened peony along with some thrift and a bit of vinca. I thought the vinca was so pretty. The yellow is what we used to call sour grass, and we actually chewed this when we were little. It was just sour grass. That's what it is. And right here, you can just barely kind of see what we have going on here. This is Queen of the Nile. And Queen of the Nile is it's a perennial, it's a green plant, and it shoots up these beautiful spikes, and on top of the spikes is they're purple flowers, but you can kind of see the purple right there. These are the pods that are left behind from the purple flowers. You know, to me, a plant is beautiful before it blooms, as it's blooming, and after it blooms. I think that these pods are just amazing, and I really do love to kind of gather them in anything that I bring in the house this time of year. I love fresh flowers, and I am so lucky that my neighbor grows roses, and I grow peony and the Queen of the Nile, daffodils, and things like that. They were all in my yard when we bought this house. It's the home of a master gardener, and it's just still remarkable to see what he has coming up, even though he has been gone from the earth for quite some time. I wanted to start a new hydrangea ball. I'm almost finished with this one, and we had questions about how these are constructed, so I just wanted to spend a few minutes on that, not long, because really for a hydrangea ball, you guys, you have to go in many steps on these, like baby steps. So I'll show you how I'm starting my new hydrangea ball. When you get yours to this point, you have to pull back some of the petals and put new petals in. So I'll do that, but I'm not going to do it now. This is like a morning project to finish this one up. But I thought the colors turned out really super cool. I like the way that it is bright, and it just really kind of suited my mood. So I like the brightness of this hydrangea ball. So let's pick up, and of course this is a recycled tissue paper that I have just wadded up, and then I did some paper mache kind of technique with more tissue paper. So what we have is a ball. And your balls don't have to be perfect. Just don't think that they have to be perfect. These are inked vintage text pages. I believe this book was Tommy and Tuppence. And that is an Agatha Christie book. Forget what it's called, something detectives. Anyway, it's Tommy and Tuppence are a couple, and they buy a detective agency. And honestly, I've never read the book, but I have several copies. So I thought it would be okay for me to use one copy to do my hydrangea balls. It's fun to dye the text. I spray it. Sometimes I hit it with ink pads. I do different things to it, but you want to get it to the point where you can see the text on it, because really that's what makes it super interesting. I've been asked a few questions about putting together these hydrangea balls, so just wanted to address that just for 1 minute. The best way to do these, you guys, is you wrap your scalloped punched image around. What I'm using a paintbrush, but you can see that it is not fast. right? It's not fast. It's something that you go slow with, which makes it a great project for the mornings or as you're cool, a startup project, a warm-up project for your art day, or a cool-down project for your art day in the evening. I do 1, 2, 3, 4 is basically what I do. That is the time it takes you to breathe in and breathe out. So it makes it an awful, wonderful meditation. I don't know if you've ever read the book 4 Seconds, and I forget who it's by, but it's a wonderful book about just taking a breath and how different you feel after you just take a breath. You react to situations in a whole new way when you just kind of breathe through them. Now you can see that I think I stuck about 6 or 7 petals right here in this cluster. Now I start a new cluster. You don't want to get into a cluster, by putting on too many petals at one time. We don't want to cluster, So we work in clusters. Okay, let's get back to it. Cluster, 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 okay? And I think sometimes that's what happened with my first one. I was like so off balance with it. And I was like, what happened here? And then I learned that if you just do clusters, then you can go back, it turns out like this, and you can go back and then pull your clusters away. And like I'm going to stick one here. One's got to go here. This ball gets super tight. There's a lot of petals on it. Hydrangeas are one of my favorite flowers, and my little boy loved them when we lived in Columbia, South Carolina, and our neighbor grew just beautiful hydrangeas. And when he would come stay with me in the summertime, then she would always cut her hydrangeas and bring us a bunch. And I always thought that was so sweet. While we're doing this, I will let you know what I'm reading. I'm reading Outer Order, Inner Calm by Gretchen Rubin, and I'll put a link to that book. I am to page 25. Haven't really read anything that is different from anything else that I've been reading. I think I did read the KonMari book, and all that rolling of the clothes. Well, friends, I've been doing that for years, because that's how you go on the road for 2 weeks with a knapsack, because your van is full of music equipment. So, I had done the rolled clothing technique. I mean, I still do it. To me, that was not something new. That KonMari thing was not something new. So I'll let you know what that read is like. I also yesterday bought a copy of the Apocrypha. And the Apocrypha is all the books in the Bible that were taken out of the Bible at one time or another. It's called the Hidden Books. So I thought that would be very interesting reading. And it was on the sale shelf at my beautiful library. Okay, so we've got a cluster here, got a cluster here. I'm going to do one more tiny cluster, and then we're going to move on to another project. I poured out way too much glue, but you know what I'm going to do with that. I am listening to Lucy Worsley. If you've never listened to Lucy Worsley before, she's my favorite person to listen to, aside from Abraham and Eckhart Tolle. I really loved, and Wayne Dyer. I love to listen to them too. Lucy Worsley is a doctor of history, and she is, I think she's at Hampton Hall in England, and I stumbled on a series that she has done called Harlots, Housewives, and Heroines, and it is awesome. I love it. It's a 3-part series. I have not seen the Harlots part because I can't find it on YouTube, but I did watch the Housewives and Heroines. It's something really good to listen to kind of while you're crafting, because her voice is, I would tell you, her voice is like mesmerizing. I just love it. Anything by Lucy Worsley. I also really have been watching a lot of the Tudor farm history, you know, back during the Tudor times, especially the Tudor monastery farms, which was very, very interesting. You know, King Henry abolished the monasteries and essentially took away the livelihoods of so many people over a little girl named Anne Boleyn that he was smitten with, to put it mildly. All right, we're going to do one more here. But you guys see, if you've been kind of struggling with this, and I know I've had a few questions about it, just do small clusters. And then you'll join your clusters together as you progress with your hydrangea ball. So let's put these two things aside, and let's address this way too much glue that I put out in here. We're going to make glue embellishments. So I'm just going to kind of run that around just a little bit. I have to leave an edge over there. And I got a couple of new ideas. This is some copper dust for paper making. So I thought, well, you know, we'll dump some of that in there. Whoops. I think what I want to do first, though, I think I'm going to put my beads in first. This is recycled glue embellishments is basically what it is. So I've got some beads here, and these are beads that would not fit on any of the projects that they wouldn't fit through my needle, right? So I'm just going to put those in here. And if they're bigger beads, you can kind of press them down a little bit. I have some, what do they call these things? Bugle beads? I think they're called bugle beads. All right, so we've got a bit of that in there. And, I don't know where these things are, or I would show them to you. Oh, wait, I found them. Gosh, I can't believe I found them. And then we'll put some of this copper dust on there, because I think that'll be fun. We'll just dump it in. Now, the idea behind this is to just, recycle your glue, and then, oh yeah. And what happens is you let this dry, you allow it to dry, and then the next, well, you have to kind of determine, you know, the drying time, because sometimes it does take quite a while to dry. I like to kind of poke mine down like that, okay? So that's what we have. And then when you peel them up from the cap, you get these awesome embellishments that look like this. And you can use them, you know, for card making or whatever. Lots of fun. Okay, so project 1, project 2. I have a scrap bin that I am not liking because I need to get rid of the things in it. I'm done with this project that I was using it for, so I need to get rid of this. We're going to do a couple things with the scrap bin this morning. We are going to, hold on a second, sorry. The first thing that I want to do is start to cover some gypsy jars. Now, I'm calling them gypsy jars, but I have an idea for these, and I'm going to use them as feng shui corner clearers. And I'll be making those and selling them in the shop. If you guys don't know about feng shui, I'll put a little I'll put a link in the description box below so you can kind of get the feel of a feng shui, the methods of feng shui. And really it's just mindful placement and belief in what you are trying to clear out of a space. Now, corners are particular problems because they can attract stagnant energy. You know, the energy in a corner just kind of gets trapped there. And so a feng shui shelf sitter or a feng shui clearer will help the energy move. And they're quite beautiful. They're very unique. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to get some paper on here. And I'm taking a brush and I'm just taking this scrap bin that's gotten way out of control. Right now I have this scrap bin and I have the scrap bin that I use to do my tags, and that's it. That's the scrap bins that I have, and this one is making me crazy, so it's got to go. I don't have scrap bins, but I think that's okay. You know, I tend to use what I have. I am drinking, I'll tell you what I'm drinking too, you guys. This is iced tea with a little bit of milk and a little bit of vanilla in it, and it is really good. I don't know how I came up with that concoction, but it's yummy and I like it. It's refreshing. All right, we are using Mod Podge, and we are just layering some text. This is super chippy text onto this bottle. That's the first thing that I have to do. So I'm just gonna do that. I need to take the top off. I will have a lot of these Starbucks Frappuccinos because Chris has a problem. And yes, he does. He has a really big problem with these things. So, you know, we're going to offset his expenses by making some feng shui. Corner clearers with them. I'm kidding. But they are super cool bottles. And they're very sturdy. So that means, you know, that I can mail them to you guys when I get them done. I'm not quite sure when that will happen, but we will see. I am so grateful for my Mod Podge. Thank you, Miss L. It has been an absolute delight to not have to be precious with my Mod Podge. Ooh, it's so much fun to have that to have that big bottle of it. It's like a bottle, it's a mayonnaise like jar, you know. It's 32 ounces. I had never seen one that big. We're using our 1876 ledger papers along with some vintage Farmer's Almanac. So like I said, we're just getting a base on here, and I'm just going to do the front because we've got one more little project to share with you this morning. Now eventually what I'll do is come back and I'll add some fabric and you know, twine and fibers and all kinds of stuff to this, and it just eventually, you know, just turns into this really fun. And look what I found, you guys. So that'll be a beautiful little piece to add to this. Oh, coffee filter, perfect, because it's super pliable. And it's fun to kind of tear things into just tiny bits. You know, of course, this is perfect for recycling your tissue paper, as is making your hydrangea balls. And your hydrangea balls can certainly be all kinds of different things. You don't have to make hydrangea balls. Just don't buy those styrofoam balls. Do whatever you want. I didn't mean don't, you know, just think before you buy styrofoam. Because that stuff sure does stick around, you know, in the environment for a long time. That might be like a label, so I'm not going to put that on there. Okay, let's do one more piece. Maybe right here. These are so much fun. Love doing them. And right now I need some help in our bedroom in one corner, because we have a Star Trek collection that we're trying to sell, and it is in several boxes and it reaches to the ceiling, and it is really bothering me. But there's no place else to put it, because the garage is full of Chris's car stuff, and the outbuilding is full of Chris's car stuff too. So there's that. All right, let's do one more little piece right here. All right, so we've gotten a good start on our feng shui bottle, and we were able to recycle. It doesn't want to fit like that. Let's put it like this. We were able to recycle these Frappuccino bottles, which is awesome. Okay, while I have these two things out, I'm going to, you guys, shore up a page or two in my ring bound smash book. And you know, when I was working in this last week, I had some curling issues. On certain papers want to curl. So what I thought I would do is, you know, I don't want to, it's like these pages want to curl, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I need something right here. Let me just grab a piece of paper. And I'm going to put this here. And then I'm going to start taking some scraps from this bin and just shoring up some of these pages. And then when I start to work on them, you know, hopefully I won't have that curling issue again. I don't want to cover the whole page up though. And you know, I do have to be careful because I pulled out, you know, pulled a page out when I was working with it before. These are all vintage pages, and they are really fragile. So at some point I might have to go back and, you know, put some reinforcers in. But there's something about this book that is, I love it. It's organic. It seems to kind of speak to me in a way. You know, sometimes books just do that. They're very chatty. I mean, honestly, they chat with you. When I was putting this one together, it was really chatting to me. So I'm very happy with it. I know that it has warts and all, but really, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. Really do love it. Coffee filters are awesome. I make coffee, of course, every morning, and I use an unbleached filter. And then that way, you know, you're getting the brown of those coffee grounds, and you're also getting the brown of the coffee filter. And then I give my neighbor the coffee grounds, and he has a compost system at his house. Now I don't have a compost system, and you know, honestly, I couldn't have a compost system because Kronk liked to dig up the coffee and eggs, and he liked to eat them. So, you know, that wasn't very good for him. So when he was a younger dog, he did that. It's like, ah. So you can see what we're doing here. We're just shoring things up. But we're keeping the image in the middle because I sure do love that image. This is about how to construct a proper farmhouse. And the farm will probably open next weekend. So my time is going to be really different when that happens. Oh, I'm about at 25 minutes, so I'm going to have to wind this up. But I think that's all that I had planned for you guys this morning. I hope that you enjoyed this little kind of peek into a studio morning for me. I would love to know what you guys are up to. So let me know in the comments below how you like to kind of start your art day, projects that you're working on. I'm always so interested to know what you guys are doing. Again, I really do appreciate the support at the Etsy store. I have made more tags and I will be listing those sometime today, and probably tomorrow I'll have some new smash books ready to go in the shop as well. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, friends. Bye.